going to sell me out, weren't you?
Let's get one thing straight. This is my gig. You want your share? We play by my rules.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Explosion Network's critical review discussion of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. I've got Ashley here. Say hi, Ash.
Hey. Hi, Ash.
Also got Ciaran.
Hi, Ash.
Hi, Ciaran.
Hi, Ciaran.
I'm John O'Peck. Well, we've just finished a Platinum Explosion episode where we talked about Uncharted: Lost Legacy in a fair bit of detail, but today this video is going to be full of spoilers. So let's kick it off with, a bursting of spoilers. What was your favorite story aspect of this game, Ash?
Probably the train sequence. That was probably the best sequence in the game. I mean, it's a retread of the train sequence out of game Uncharted 2.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was probably the most fun.
It's kind of a throwback to something that people have found to
Loved.
be one of the most memorable and beloved sequences in an Uncharted game. So
then they also merged it with the Uncharted 4 Jeep and motorcycle chases as well. So
yeah, they've definitely
added a little something
new
new
mechanics since the second one that they were able to implement. So that was cool. What about you?
If we're talking about
Ciaran?
story moments or set piece, mine was the set piece after escaping from a Sav the first time when you're like running across the building tops with those like neon signs, and I really loved the aesthetic and the feel of that scene. It was really cool, and the way the very dark and muddy background stood out, those yellow, pink, and blue like neon lights all over the place was really cool.
Mm. Yeah, I loved the inclusion of Sam from Uncharted 4, Drake's brother. Troy Baker is Bay. And
Troy Baker is my bae.
Thank you.
How the hell did you guys get out of that?
I'm just still figuring that out myself.
I
I'll
know,
fight you
like
for him.
Ciaran, if you're Facebook friends with Ciaran, he's got like a
collage
photo.
of Troy Baker on latest.
Yeah, it's like a teenage girl's
it is.
bedroom wall, basically. That's his cover photo. But yeah, Sam was awesome in this game, and he was used in such a great way that as things were kind of they were never stale, but when the game needed an extra element, his inclusion added such an interesting dynamic, having some history with Nadine, and
obviously,
I guess there was some history with Chloe. We don't know exactly what that is, do we?
No, it wasn't really referred to. I think that's still fairly new.
Yeah, but they did know each other, and the Drake connection was there. Obviously, Nathan and Chloe had a somewhat romantic history. So yeah, I love that inclusion and that tension between those two characters, and just Troy Baker crushing all the lines, and some great comic relief as Sam. So that was probably the big twist of the game, I guess. Would you guys say?
Yeah, the twist that Sam was the other expert. And it wasn't really a thing that clicked for me at first, because they talked about this other expert and Asaf's helper and the person doing Asaf's work, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, okay. I see what's going on here now.
Yeah, I think I made the mistake of tuning into Ciaran's stream at one point and saw Sam, so it wasn't surprised. So it was a little bit underwhelming when he actually showed up in that way. I guess if I hadn't known, it would have been a bigger. Yeah, I thought he was going to have a big dramatic entrance or something, but no, he was just getting dragged along.
Just kind of stood there.
Yeah, beat up. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Jono.
No, I can't even remember what I was saying. Yeah, that's gone. So yeah, I mean, him being in the game, I think, like I said, it added an extra element that was missing, and that's I guess the other characters had some good humor, but that Drake charm and that Drake kind of sense of humor that you get from Nathan and Sam in Uncharted 4 was good to introduce that. And you mentioned the villain, Asav. What did we think of him? I found him really interesting and kind of refreshing that he wasn't I didn't think he was a stereotypical villain in one of these games. There's always a villain that's going for, I guess, the artifact, the same one that Drake's going for. And that's kind of a played out thing. But they had a bit of a twist, like another twist, where he wasn't just trying to get this artifact for the sake of it. He was actually trying to get it to trade it for weaponry because he had this social cause that he was motivated by, and that was something that was quite different, I thought. What did you guys think?
Yeah. You would think there'd be an easier way to make that money.
Yeah,
But
probably. Probably.
I enjoyed like the low key kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing he had going on.
Yeah.
The character that you met at that first wasn't that imposing. He wasn't that scary. He wasn't that. He didn't come off like a big guy that could throw you around in a fight or whatever. But then in that last scene, his stature almost without even many changes, like. All that was he didn't have glasses on and his hair was messy.
he leveled up.
Pardon?
He leveled up.
Yeah, he leveled up and he was like, I'm Super Saiyan 1 now. And he started fighting and he was a much different character. It was an interesting dynamic for that character to go through, and you could see his frustrations with Nadine and Chloe grow throughout it of, typical villain tries to kill off character without making sure it's done. Kind of escapades.
Yeah, and he got to that point where he was just like, "This is personal now. You ruined my plan. I'm going to beat the snot out of you." And I like that fight with him. I liked that they made a villain that was powerful enough that it was 2-on-1. Like it would be easy to. Usually the hero that you are playing as is taking on two people, or it's like the main villain and all his little henchmen around him that you have to worry about. But in this game, it was like, this guy's way tougher than us, but together we can beat him. And that teamwork between Nadine and Chloe is something that they needed in that conclusion.
Even with the boss fight itself, I found disappointing because
it was nothing special.
It was nothing special, and it was very much almost the same as the boss fight of Uncharted 4, and I think number 1, if I can remember rightly. But the thing that got me, and I had the moment of, oh, this is awesome, was the section where Chloe kind of gets like torn off, like there's the side of the train gets ripped off to one side.
Oh yeah.
And you throw your rope up and you swing around and like you drop on top of him. I thought that was just a really cool moment of action, just something that was a bit different just to break it up. That you first had the section when Nadine gets thrown off the train and comes back, and then Chloe gets thrown off the train and comes back. Even though it's a little cliche, it was still a cool moment to watch and to play through.
Yeah, definitely. And, it was just punching and dodging and that old thing, but I guess it played into the story in a really good way. It just felt like it was the natural way to end that sequence along the train with a fist fight,
Yeah.
And
in front of a bomb.
In front of a bomb. Yeah. It's moving the train and all that kind of stuff. I liked it that you could go away and then come back to the train.
Oh, that was the coolest thing. The moment that I worked out that you could jump freely from a car back to the train, back to a car, it just made that sequence. Because when the sequence first happened, I was very much, oh, really, guys? We've done a train before. Okay, sure. And then they brought that element into it, which freshened it up a lot. So that was a good point.
And that's one of the things I was saying, like they added some new mechanics to something that we've done before in Uncharted 2, which was the being able to jump and the being able to swing on ropes around the train. And there was a trophy for commandeering 6 cars from people during that sequence or something. So, let's talk a little bit about trophies. Ciaran? I like the trophy list.
I've never liked an Uncharted trophy list. This isn't as bad as some of the other Uncharted trophy lists, but I don't know. They're kind of boring a little bit. There's nothing where I'm like, well, this is interesting and fresh for a trophy. It's just the typical Uncharted trophies that we've gotten used to now. I know you think completely different to me though.
Yeah, I've got 64% of the trophies, I think, and the ones that I don't have are obviously the crushing completion, the collectible ones, and pretty much anything that you need a guide to follow to get it.
Well, technically for the collectible ones, you didn't need a guide.
You just needed to find them.
You didn't know, but you just needed the item that shows you where they all are, pretty much.
Yeah, but that doesn't kick in until halfway. So
well, it's not even halfway. That's chapter 4.
Yeah, but there's still like a bunch.
There's only 9 chapters.
There's only okay. Yeah, it's kind
These
of
are
halfway,
math,
isn't it? Yeah. Got me there.
But yeah, I haven't got those ones. But I liked that the trophies. Like, I like the trophies in Uncharted games because they make me play in a different way. So, for example, they make me focus because it can get a bit stale to go through all these encounters and just be like, okay, I'm going to kill all these guys. But now with these trophy lists, they make me come and go, maybe I can kill all these guys with stealth, or maybe I can kill all these guys shooting from the hip. And it just makes me mix up my combat a bit more. And I've always appreciated that in Uncharted games. And there's ones like kill 4 guys in this order where it's like hit them with a car, rifle, melee, and then a grenade, and you have to do it in 20 seconds. So it adds little challenges in there, and it's not like, it's pretty much stock standard for any Uncharted game, I guess, to have these kinds of ones in there. But I don't seem to have the problem that other people do. At least there's no multiplayer ones.
That's also true.
Yeah, that's good.
True.
Yeah, and there's a cool trophy which is, I think, different for an Uncharted game, which is like get to chapter 5 without killing anyone.
No, I think it's just
is that what it is, or without firing a bullet or something?
Make it to the outskirts of Hullabaloo in chapter 5 without using a firearm or explosive.
There you go.
So it might be just that chapter, that section, but yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it's up to
the whole game
of the game. Yeah, is it called what's the Way of the Warrior or something? Yeah, that's it. So you have to start a new save file and play from the start all the way through without using a gun. Which
how the hell did Buddy do it then?
Yeah,
Crazy.
I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I've already seen a bunch of people with the platinum for this game, so it can't.
You could probably do it on easy though.
Yeah, like once you
true.
change the setting to Explorer, where you almost can't die unless you try.
You do it on Explorer, and unlike a lot of Uncharted games before it, a lot of the areas with bad guys were designed to be done with stealth.
That's right.
The gunfights never just instantly happened. You had to mess up. And I will say, for an Uncharted game, because Uncharted 4, there was a lot of stealth, and I was like, I hate this section. I hate them, because I'm just like... And I got to the point every time I was like, just F it, I'm just going to start shooting. This one gave me the silenced pistol, which is a godsend, because there's always those moments where you're just creeping out to kill somebody, and they turn around at the wrong moment, and you have no way to kill them before they can set the alarm off. And at least with the silenced pistol, it's only ever comes with like 15 bullets, but you can pop somebody in the head and then keep going and continue with the stealth stuff, which I think, especially for crushing, I feel like for the crushing difficulty, doing everything as stealthy as possible would seem to be the best solution.
They also give you like the option to have unlimited ammo and any weapon, so you can pretty much just grab like that bazooka, like the grenade launcher, and run through the whole game with that if you want.
God.
But like on the stealth topic, you can quite easily go from alert back to stealth.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Which is, I don't know if that's the new thing to this game or if it was in previous ones, but that would definitely help if you get to an encounter where, people are on you straight away, regardless of whether you have crept up to them or not. So that does happen. Let's talk about the story. We've talked about the twist of adding Sam, and on Platinum Explosion we talked a little bit about Chloe and Nadine, whether we like them or not. But what did you guys think overall of this Lost Legacy story that took place?
Yeah, it was interesting to dig into Chloe's backstory. I think it's kind of ironic that this is a daddy-daughter story, whereas Uncharted 4 was a mother-son story. The son's following the mother's footsteps or whatever. But yeah, it was really cool to find out more about Chloe and her dive into her Indian heritage. And yeah, her ethnicity is a kind of an interesting thing, because now Jack will understand.
Yeah, it's like, is she Australian? Is she British? And then you realise that she's this kind of colonial. We knew that she had a bit of Indian in her, I think, from other games, and just kind of chasing her ancestry and the things that her father was interested in, which was the mythology and the archaeology of India. It definitely adds a lot to her character to see her almost going not back to her roots necessarily, but chasing after something that's in her genes, and that's why she's in this line of work. Because you always wonder, like, how do these people, like someone like her, she's attractive enough to be a supermodel, she's smart enough to do anything she wants, why is she out here jumping across, cliff faces and risking her life, getting shot at and chased around by mercenaries? How did she get into this? So to see that it's a family business is quite an interesting reveal for her. And there was a lot of emotional moments involving that as well. And they did a really great job of kind of throwing it in there just at the point where you're like feeling the game needs a bit of heart and soul, and they did a really good job with that.
From doing these video discussions and doing reviews now, I've realised I'm a super critical person when it comes to storylines and narratives. I'm really critical.
You didn't like it?
I've got different points in this game that are very counter to what you're already saying. My first one, which is the lesser of the two, some of the discussion between Nadine and Chloe in Chapter 4, which is the open world bit, felt extremely forced in places. It felt a bit like complete one of the towers. We're going to talk about my dad now. Blah, blah, blah. Somehow, like,
I can understand that. It did feel like that a little bit.
It was kind of like, oh, okay, really? Is this... Oh, you just... fine, whatever, sure, do it. And it just happened that you knew that... You got to the point where by the third tower, you're like, I'm going to finish this tower, and I'm going to know... They're going to start talking again, and it got a bit... I wasn't a fan of it, generally, of that style, where it just felt a bit forced.
So you're talking about the pacing?
The pacing of just... No, but just like their interactions with each other, just the very much of... They don't seem to know each other too well, and we've done this. We've opened a floodgate thing to one side. This is a great opportunity to tell you about my dad.
It's symbolic. She's opening up.
But actually, I hadn't thought of it like that. But
open the floodgates.
That's interesting. Okay, I hadn't thought of it, but it just felt weird to me. And this is my biggest critique about the game. I hate the use of Sam in this game. I hate it.
Oh.
I got 5 minutes in, and first 5 minutes of Sam being, I was like, yes, Sam! Sam was one of my favourite characters from Uncharted 4. I'm so excited. Then he was useless. As a character in the game, there was almost, like, anybody else could have been in that place of that character. There was no...
I don't agree with that at all.
I know you don't, but, like, you don't... Like, that character, I enjoyed the quippy lines, the Nathan Drake-ness, they needed to use Sam, so Nadine had this reason and problem, and so there was a issue between Chloe and Nadine. But when in the game, I wouldn't have minded if they just used him for cutscenes and he had to go do something else. But in the sections where you became a trio of characters in Chapter 8 onwards, he was useless. He was more of a hindrance.
That was part of his charm.
But that wasn't part of his charm. It was not a... like, he was not like that.
Those were laid-back sections. They were like, push the box and climb the tree or whatever it was. And he was just kind of... It was almost lampshading. He was just kind of chilling. And he was like, hey, I'll just hang over here while you guys figure out this next puzzle. And
but that was pointless. Like, what's the point of him being there as a character? He then complains about...
How else are they meant to make it sense that he's just going to disappear because it
they could have, though. Like, it was just a character, as a character, that I love that character, and he was so... like, his personality in Uncharted 4 where he got things done. And then he's like, there's a section where he's finally like, hey, let me get up this one. And he climbs up the ladder and breaks the ladder. Which is like, he broke the ladder. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I've got this box. But the box isn't big enough to get up, so you work it out, I guess. And then this, I actually got so frustrated with this. You then have to push the same train, like the train cart, back through this, like back to where it originally was. And I'm like, really? Come on, guys.
Is that a problem with Sam, or is that a problem with the game?
No, that was a problem with the game design. What I'm saying, though, is as the character of Sam, Dylan's probably going to hate me for this point, I felt like they were using that character as these are independent women and they don't need a man to solve the issue for them. That he was...
I like that, though.
But I don't think that's such a needed comment. They were individuals as it was. There was a point where they literally climbed over the top of him. literally climbed over the top of him and ignored it, which was a funny thing. But at the same time, I'm like, what's the point of Sam as a character then? Like, what's the point of him being here with these characters?
You mentioned it though. It was the added dynamic, and it was the humor, and it was his role.
But could another character have done that
end
humor?
Of the story.
Like, could Sully have easily could have done that? Humor?
Who?
Sully.
Like,
easily could have. Sully or Cutter.
Yeah, but if they were there, you'd just as likely be saying, why were they there for that section? Because
no, but I
wouldn't.
It's more the reason that they're using Sam for this is my problem. Is they're using Sam because that was a character that personally I got really excited about in Uncharted 4, and then I feel like they've taken away from him in this game. And then at the end where it's like, who are we selling this to? And these two people that are mercenaries and treasure hunters are like, oh, we're giving it to the museum. And you're like, and Sam's the bad guy that's like, wait, what? We're not selling it? Like, that's funny, but at the same time, it kind of went against what Chloe and Nadine's characters were.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that sudden, like, it was almost as if they talked about it. It was both assumed that, oh no, we're not selling it. We can't do that.
You guys are hilarious. Ministry of Culture. Oh my God, you're serious.
And
originally, when they first said it, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like a joke or a code for who they were really selling it to. And I'm like, oh.
They had a telepathic moment where they're like, we can't sell this. That would be wrong. But they never talked about it. And yeah, it was fun. It was a good gag, and it was kind of a good ending, but the way it was portrayed was like...
Okay, in hindsight, it does make sense.
Yeah. But, you know what?
But yeah, that's my opinion on Sam, is that I don't think he needed to be there. I think it could have been any other man to get across the same points, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the use of the boxes and the... Like, there was only a couple times where they made you, like, boost someone up, and they always made jokes about it, like, kind of drawing attention to the fact that they were doing it because of the overuse of it in previous games. Yeah. And, like, Sam being up the top of one of the cliffs and saying, or telling someone up there, look for a box, and then they find, like, a pole or something instead, which makes way more sense. I really thought that was funny because it was lampshading that issue that people had with all these boxes in Uncharted 4, and the fact that Sam's trying to do the same thing that worked last time, but hang on, things are different now. And
it was very meta at times.
Yeah, it was a bit meta, but I enjoyed Sam's inclusion for those reasons. But
also speaking of that kind of stuff. By Chapter 9, I was really sick, and I don't think it's always been a thing in Uncharted, but at the same time, it didn't get so bad. I felt like every second time Chloe jumped to something, it would break.
It happened like 3 times.
It happened more than 3
or 4 times. Yeah.
It happened a
Maybe
lot.
4.
Or Nadine would walk across something and it would break it right after.
It would happen so much, and I'm just like, how is this happening to Chloe? She's not like she's
always Chloe though.
Why is this like? I don't understand if it was Sam or Nate or something, but it's not like they're a heavy person. What is this? It kept happening. I'm like, all right, come on, guys, I understand, but
it's that Indian infrastructure, man. Like ancient Indian infrastructure.
Built like
it's just not built as good as the other ancient civilizations.
Yeah,
they were cutting corners.
Were there any other Easter eggs you guys enjoyed or remember from the game?
I like the discussion about Nate at points
that was
like just like how the hell did you date that guy, or just those kind of retorts were funny and just throwbacks of just knowing.
Yeah, they take turns incessantly talking.
Yeah, my goodness. The other thing that I really, this is another critical point, and I mentioned this in Platinum when I was like, times where things were deja vu and disappointing. We're doing this again. When the indestructible armored truck came and you had to run away from the indestructible armored truck, I was like, this was Uncharted 4. Why are we doing this again? This wasn't...
Because Uncharted 4 was fantastic.
But it wasn't. It was a fantastic game, but it was that armored... I don't look back at that game and go, yeah, boy, do I love running away from that armored truck all the time. By gosh, do I wish I could go back and play those sections again. It was just, there was one too many things. That was all. For my taste.
My only critique of the game is that Nadine's motivations changed really quickly. She's angry at Chloe for 15 minutes for not telling her about Sam, and then they catch up to each other again right before they go into the cave or whatever, and they're all buddy again. And then she's all upset about wanting to get back Shoreline, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Nah, screw Shoreline." It just seemed a little quick, but that was
my
major
to say
problem.
that, but I just took that as her being an emotional person, where she would get really mad about something. Same with Sam, where she'd get really mad that Sam was here, and she'd be pissed at him, and then as time goes on, she's kind of settles down and she reevaluates and she's like, okay, this is how it is. And then she goes from there. But in terms of motivations, from in the long arc of the game, maybe that was a bit more questionable. I don't know.
I do want to shout out for this
something
game.
To throw out there, Ciaran?
No, it's fine. I'm good. No, I agree with you on that statement. I want to shout out quickly for the game. The puzzles of this game, I thoroughly enjoyed. Some of the puzzles of this game, I thought they were some of the best puzzles. The ones with the pressure pads, where you had to jump across and work out how to avoid being hit, I thought were awesome because I really enjoyed figuring out the pattern and doing it. It wasn't something that I got frustrated with, but it was something different.
Kill you? That was the thing.
No, they just kind of knocked you off, and you were like, "Oh, okay, yep, sure."
That was a little bit.
If they killed you every time, that would have been frustrating.
Yes, yeah. When it did, I was like, "Oh, it's not going to kill me." Okay, fine.
The shadow puzzle is similar to one from previous game as well.
Yeah, from the 3, I think, when they're underneath the city.
And so I'm guessing from our discussion on Plat, neither of you did the collectibles in Chapter 4?
I did do I got all the tokens.
You got all the tokens and you got the charm thing?
Yeah.
So you did go to the question mark
6.
on the map. So you both went to the
I thought the question mark was the tower.
No, the question mark was that place.
Okay.
Was the original place that shows you the map and where you draw all the things on the map. That's the question mark. So.
Okay. Yes.
If you're listening to this having finished the game, you didn't get all the tokens. Can you explain what it does, Ash?
You get a bracelet thing, and then anytime you're near a treasure, the controller vibrates, and there's a small sound. And then when you get a bit closer, it vibrates again, so it makes it easier to find.
And the actual bracelet glows on.
And it glows, yeah. And apparently the light bar, I didn't notice, but the light bar glows on the controller as well. It grows bright or whatever.
Nice little touch.
So that's pretty. Yeah. So go through you go through my treasures list, and it's a bunch of question marks. And then when I got the actual thing, it's all there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think Chloe has it in all the cutscenes as well, so it's a full addition to her character. Nice little detail from Naughty Dog there, I think.
And you also get to see monkeys.
Oh, I should have done it. I love monkeys.
Close up. Yeah.
I did that, and I was like, hey, monkeys are pretty cool. They're all the way.
Yeah, I thought it would be easy to go back and get the ones that I missed, but I don't know if it's a progressive thing like the collectibles, or if you have to do them all over again. Hopefully it's not.
I don't know.
Anyway, I hope not for your sake. What are you going to play?
Yes. There is an item as a collectible, while we're speaking of Easter eggs, which is a skull with eyeballs, and it's apparently a skull from Left Behind that you shake it, you turn it upside down, and it's got the magic 8-ball kind of answer,
okay.
Which I believe Ellie came across in that game. And there's a trophy for doing that, because you can turn around the items when you are investigating them.
That's pretty cool.
So another little cool trophy. Ciaran.
Can I say that elephant scene was pretty awesome?
My God, I was so just... Oh, man, it's a little... We're going to save it.
You should have seen me. I was playing that when Hannah was there, my wife, and I was like, it's a baby elephant. Hannah, look at the baby elephant. First of all, I was freaking out just from elephants being in the game, because, we both love elephants. And then you get to the family of elephants, and there's a little baby one. I just wanted to go over to it so bad, but the mum wouldn't let me.
The bit that made me laugh, though, is when you're walking through and you hear the elephant, making noise. I literally stopped in stream and went, oh, no, there's not going to be some new supernatural bullshit in there. Oh, man. I got, Tomb Raider 2 flashbacks of a T-Rex. I was like, no. And I'm like, oh, it's just an elephant. That's completely fine.
Are you surprised that Tusk wasn't something mystical or anything?
I'm not
glad it wasn't.
I really like the story. The story's really interesting.
Get away from it.
Even the twist.
More on this now.
even in the twist in the understanding of that mythology, was kind of after school special, but at the same time it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked about the story before. I think that was before you went into your rail against Sam being in here. But what did you think of the start to finish the story that's told in the length of this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's solid. I mean, it's probably not up to the same par as we expect as the actual full-on Uncharted games, but it's better than most of the games out there. I mean, the story is it's a good, fun romp.
Yeah.
What more can you ask for, really?
It's a good game. I think it does suffer from its length. It does suffer from... It doesn't have that same build-up as a normal Uncharted game. It doesn't. It just kind of, okay, go, and we're done. And you're like, oh, well, okay, crap. Well,
If the other Uncharted games didn't exist, do you think you'd still have that?
I would love it to bits. I would think it would be... I would have the same reaction to this that I had to Uncharted 1.
Yeah.
Without the whole going in and out of water for 5 minutes. Going, oh, look, his pants are only wet up to there.
Yeah.
As you do when you first play Uncharted 1.
Yeah. Were there any other...
So I was the only one annoyed that her hair was stuck to her forehead.
Oh, I saw it and I was like, can you just
brush it.
Just brush it. Just brush it. Get a headband.
It had that element that I enjoyed in Arkham Asylum, where progressively the outfit of the main character just becomes more tattered as time goes on.
Yeah.
Or when you looked at her phone, her fingers were like more bloodied and stuff.
Speaking of the phone, I really liked the pictures. The pictures were really cool.
The picture mode? Or the actual being able to go to viewpoints and take photos.
Yeah, the actual being able to go to a viewpoint and take a photo, and then you were able to flick back through your phone throughout the game. I think my favorite one, there was one you take of Nadine as she's like walking up one of the statues of, I think it's Ganesh, that looks really cool, and it just was like capturing a character in a moment of concentration that was really interesting for me.
That's cool. I think I missed that one.
Yeah. There's a lot of them. There was one I saw of like Chloe doing like a yoga pose on top of a statue, and I was like, where was that? I completely missed that.
There's a trophy for getting to the tallest point of that open world section. So you're up at the top of a tower where there's like a switch to interact with, but instead of interacting with the switch, you have to find like another way to go even higher, and that's where you go up to the top and do the yoga pose.
Okay.
So another good trophy there that you missed, Ciaran.
Yeah.
Just trying to prove these trophies, aren't you?
I'm trying to stick up for the trophy list.
Stick up for the trophy list.
Ciaran's not buying.
I'll give it to it. I'll give it to that it's a better trophy list than Uncharted generally has, but
okay.
Still not good.
So there was like you mentioned those couple of things. There was another cool moment I just want to talk about quickly where you there's so much climbing in these games. You climb up from, I think it's from a waterfall up a cliff face, and you're kind of just taking in the view, and Nadine pushes Chloe into the water.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, what? That is such a cool little thing to throw in there, because that's the kind of crap that two kind of pally people would do to each other. And there was a moment where I was like, okay, where's the cutscene where she just like teleports back up to the top? But no, you have to climb up all over again.
You have to climb back up yourself. The other thing for me, actually, this is a super confusing moment for me, and I need you to explain it. This is the only part of the story I do not get. So, Chloe's dad had apparently already been to the temple.
Yes.
Because he had the little Ganesh figure. But why was there, no obvious signs that somebody of some kind of modern-day generation had been there? There was absolutely nothing. And
what do you want? Do you want them to leave behind like an iPod or something?
Not an iPod, but there's
like some rubbish.
like rubbish, just general like climbing gear or
I don't know. I guess in theory he was working his way back to civilization when the bandit camp came and killed him.
But how did he get the letter to her?
Oh yeah. That's a good question. How did you get that?
How did you get the figure to her if he was still not in civilization? And wouldn't you in that same letter be like, "Hey,
maybe he's not dead"?
I don't know. It just really confused me when she's when the figure fit, and he was like, "Oh my!" She was like, "Oh my god, my dad was here," and I'm like, "How?" I don't.
Yeah,
Is it
understand.
possible that he went? Is it possible he went there a couple times? You know,
Maybe.
he went there, he got the figure, he left, he did some more research, he went back again, and he died.
But he
Who
needed
knows?
the figure to open the door.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Plot holes.
Figure that one out.
Figure it out. Neil Druckmann.
No, Neil
me up.
Druckmann. I was going to say
Where
Bruce,
is
but Bruce Staley. We mentioned the train. There were a couple other set pieces that we should mention just because we can in spoilers. I guess the main ones were the run across the rooftops that you mentioned at the start with the neon signs.
Mm-hmm.
There was ruins falling apart, which we experienced a similar kind of thing in Uncharted 4. It was still really cool, but it was pretty short. It was only like a minute long.
Mm.
There was the scene where the Sam, Nadine, and Chloe have to break free from their shackles and swim in the room filled with water. And there was the train. So they were
Would you also call
main...
the helicopter a moment? With like you had to like where you roped up to the helicopter?
Actually, yeah, where you had to shoot up, and it wasn't very hard. It was pretty. It wasn't like it was a mini set piece, I guess, but
It was a
still
miniature one.
kind of cool. It led to a cutscene with Nadine's former second in charge or whatever that was.
Was that guy in Uncharted 4? I
could remember him, but it seemed to be implied.
Okay. Because when it was like, this guy ran off with all my loot, and I was like, he did? Okay, I can't remember this bit, but sure.
I thought she left early. That was the thing.
She left
away from that sword fight at the end of Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
So maybe it happened out of the game. I don't know. Yeah,
But-
I didn't quite understand that either.
No.
Anyway, overall, we didn't do this on Platinum Explosion. Do we want to give this game a rating? Or do we want to rank it?
Dylan might, stab us. Ratings aren't a thing, are they? We
do you
don't
want
rate
to rank
things.
it? Well, he does ratings for all the games and reviews he puts up on our website.
Oh, you would know.
Network.com.
You would know this thing.
But I mean, do you guys want to? Which other two Uncharted games do you think it fits around?
I think it's around Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4. So I think it's
really.
I think it's better. Like my list goes 2, 4, 3, 1, but now it would go 2, 4, Lost Legacy, 3, 1.
There you go. You probably have it ranked higher than I do, Ciaran.
Really? Yeah, I have it. I still look. I'm super critical because I like to talk about the critical points of my mind.
That's fair.
But I still enjoyed the game and I loved the game. But at the same time, I'm critical.
That's what we're here for.
Definitely.
Yeah, my list would probably be pretty similar. I think 4, 2, 3, this, then 1.
It's interesting that you put 4 above 2. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's probably just recent. So
Mine goes 4, 3, 2. Lost Legacy.
You're missing 1.
The Vita one.
Oh, the
Golden
Golden
Abyss?
Abyss. I didn't even
Golden
list
Abyss.
Golden Abyss, to be honest.
yeah.
I put Lost Legacy above Golden Abyss and 1. So this is like the 4th for me. But
yeah,
they're
go
all
Lost
so
Legacy.
good,
You're
you know.
better than a Vita game. Yeah.
and a very early PS3 game. But
Yeah.
that's mainly because it's a shorter experience. And it's not a full. It's a full game, but it's not a full Uncharted game. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So do you want more of these?
Yeah, I mentioned on the Platinum Explosion, one more of these games would be great. Love to see a game with Sully and Sam, or Sully and like who would be the next two characters you want to see an exploration of?
Sam and Sully.
Yeah.
Sam and
Not an
Sully.
exploration
Or-
of just more of those two together. That's what the end of Uncharted 4 alluded to. So I was like, damn straight, I want more of Sully and Sam. Let's do it.
Yeah, I was going to say Sully and young Nathan, like we suggested on Platinum, except I kind of happy to leave Nathan Drake's story told.
Yeah, leave that as it was.
There was
Yeah.
I'll mention on the kind of funny review of this game, Greg was talking about how he wishes, or it might have been on Games Daily, how he wishes that this wasn't the end of the series, and he was kind of disappointed that number 4 ended so well, and he was suggesting to someone like play up to the epilogue of 4, then play Lost Legacy, then play the epilogue. But it's like I don't agree with that at all.
No.
I kind of do.
But you don't want to play through all of Lost
But
Legacy.
technically, at the same time, do you leave the epilogue of 4 until all the DLC has come out? Like, do you? There's no physical. Like, there's no possible way that you can play that last.
That's right. I mean, the epilogue of 4 is like it's wrapping up Nathan's story, and this isn't anything to do with Nathan's story. So I think you can definitely just play through all of 4 the way it's meant to, then play Lost Legacy, and hopefully we've got something else. Do you think they will do another?
I think it just depends on how much it sells and how much pressure Sony puts on them.
Definitely.
So, and what ideas they've got. I mean, if they've got a good idea, I imagine they'd be willing to do it.
They would have so many ideas. There's so much they can do. And that's why I think they will, because, you know, if The Last of Us 2 comes out we don't even know what year it's coming out, do we?
No, forever.
No idea.
Say it comes out in
Kingdom
2020.
Hearts 3.
Yeah, say it comes out in 2019. It's a long time between games for such a
prestigious studio.
Yeah, a huge studio that sells a lot of whatever they do. So I think if they can somehow find time to make multiple games at the same time like they have with this, I think that it's a bit of a no-brainer to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, maybe we'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening if you weren't really paying attention to our beautiful faces. Remember, you can catch Platinum Explosion every week to hear more of our PlayStation Talk posts on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. Where can people find you, Ashley?
You find me on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY.
And Ciaran?
Find me at your boy Ringo. Tell me that you agree with me about Sam. Do it.
About Sam? Tell me that you agree with me about Sam. At jono-himself on Twitter. Do we want to plug anything else? Twitch streams?
Check out Twitch. We streamed all of Twitch. If you do not have time, or if you do not have the availability to play through this game, but you want to experience it, go to YouTube. Both of our the whole playthrough is up there in a VOD form. If you really just don't want to play it, but you want to be able to watch it so you understand what people are talking about and join in the conversation, check it out there.
Or even just to get a taste to
exactly.
see whether
literally, as long as you don't pick the second VOD or the end of the first VOD, skip around somewhere and just play it from a random point.
Well, if you're listening through all these spoilers, I mean, it doesn't really.
Well, fuck it. Listen to the end of this, and then it's a whole thing. I'll tweet out the guide to finding the spoilers without being spoiled, just for you.
Thank you very much. Plat plat.
What took you so long? Had to catch a train, love.